Greetings. Welcome to Film Gazes, a podcast focusing on the science fiction, horror, fantasy trinity, and 20th century entertainment. I'm Steph.
Yo, I'm Jess. We're cousins / besties. Join us as we reminisce, discuss, and review films from our childhood. Ayo!
All right, Jelly.
That's what I was going for.
Nailed it.
Thanks.
Feel like Meowdy's not appropriate in this episode.
What would they say?
Yeah, what would they say? How you doing?
Straight up Joey. You talking to me?
You talking to me? We are on our finale episode for You Talkin to Me.
You talking to me?
How do you do a Joe Pesci? He has such a specific. How would you do a Joe Pesci?
Let me think. What am I? Funny to you? Funny like a clown?
Hey, do I look funny to you? You look like a wise guy. I feel like it's much higher than it is.
Yeah, and it's like nasally.
He has such a
very distinct voice.
He has such a. June is coming up, and we are going to do what we did last year, where we take a little summer break for ourselves.
Mm-hmm. We deserve it.
We announced in the last one that we were going to try to maybe do something special. Well, shit happens. So we're going to have that tentative because we're not sure if we're going to be able to reach out and schedule things where it would make anything in time or not with everything going on right now. Mm-hmm. So
behind the scenes. Yes,
I'm hoping maybe we can still release a mini-sode or something.
Yeah.
Just to satiate you until we come back. So we're going to just play it a little loosey-goosey.
As we usually
do. And maybe we'll announce it on Instagram. Maybe we won't.
Yeah. I still don't think I ever put the...
You Talkin to Me. I think you did the You Talkin to Me, but we haven't done specifics when the episode's
That's
released.
not too bad, though.
But yeah.
I'll just catch up.
We're letting people be aware.
Yeah.
We'll try to be better, guys.
To our many, many listeners.
Yes. There's so many.
And one of them is my journal sister. She never misses an episode.
Aww.
Thanks, Rachel.
Thank you, Rachel. Yeah, so obviously we've had life events happening. Mm-hmm. So what you been watching? What you been doing?
Kitchen Nightmares.
Yeah.
Nothing but.
I get it. It's that kind of weeks where you're like,
week.
I'm working and I'm chilling, something on the background. I don't have to pay attention to it.
Exactly. I don't have to be aware of the plot.
Yeah. They got a gross walk-in.
Yeah. Surprise, surprise. He found a rat droppings. And I go around saying this all the time now. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. It's raw.
This isn't to temp.
Anyway, so I've been watching Kitchen Nightmares. But besides that, I have been listening to an audiobook. And there's a funny story behind that.
Oh.
So I borrowed Fourth Wing.
Yes, I remember you telling me about how much you were loving those.
Loved it. So the second one, started it. I was taking too long with it. And then I get like anxiety if somebody's waiting on me to give something back. Because I knew she wanted to reread the series before the third one was coming out in January.
Yeah. And you were like, I'm being
and
too
I was like,
slow.
no, I can't.
And you returned it.
And so I just returned it prematurely. Because I was like, I don't want somebody waiting on me to read it. Like that gives me anxiety.
Too much pressure.
And it's too much pressure. And then sometimes I fall out of I get in a reading rut where I'm like, I can't pick it up right now. For some reason, I just can't read right now. I don't know why. It just happens.
It took me almost a year to read Tell Chaser Song.
That's how it is sometimes. I don't know why.
But I finished it.
Yeah, good for you. You did it. You finished it. So I was like, I already pre-ordered the third book. So I had the third book, and I really want to read it, but I can't until I finish the second one. Duh.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I even signed up. I even went and got a library card, signed up for the Libby thing. It's nowhere to be found. Not in my branch.
Oh, no.
And this system is already checked out, and I didn't know they didn't have unlimited e-copies.
Ah.
So I was like, damn it. I know it doesn't sound like that much money, but I'm like, I don't want the paperback or the ebook. I want the hardback to complete my collection.
Oh, yeah, no, that totally makes sense.
And I don't have money for a hardback right now.
I did the same thing. I've committed to the paperback ones, so I'm just like, well, every one I'm going to buy is going to be a paperback.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
If you already started with it. Exactly. I can't.
I get it.
So I was like, Audible. I got my free trial of Audible right now for the month, and I'm doing the audiobook of the
second
Iron Flame. Yeah, that's the
nice.
second one.
So how are you liking it?
I don't like audiobooks.
Oh. So we don't have to be like, I don't like audiobooks.
I don't like audiobooks.
And this has solidified that fact.
I'm listening to it. I'm doing it. I don't like it.
So you can read the third book.
It's just I can read the third book.
That's so funny.
I just don't like people reading to me. It's harder for me to
It depends
get into it
depends
because
on the book.
my mind is just like always. It'll be going, and I'm like, oh, I'm thinking about something totally different. I didn't hear anything that was said.
I will do that sometimes too. That's why I've been getting more into
and it depends on their voice too. Also.
Yes, for sure. That's why I've been enjoying finding like serial podcasts where it's a story over a podcast, so it's only in little, it's by
increments,
episode
yeah.
and it's in increments. And then I'm still usually doing something where me listening is the focus, and maybe I'm doing something with my hands, but then for some reason that makes it to where I'm like, now I can listen.
Well, I know I
have to be doing something with my hands to listen.
It was so weird for me because the other night I was like, okay, I'm gonna listen to the book because I was getting to a good part. Like, and I'm enjoying it to an extent.
Yeah, I just like the story.
I like the story, but and then it's because it's got a little smut in there too. And listening to that in my car, I was like, wait, turn this down a little bit. But like, I'm like, this is so silly. Like, it's so silly to have somebody else read it to you.
That's so funny. That's so funny because I had mentioned I've been starting the ACOTAR series, so I'm almost done with the first book. I've been committing to it more because I was so disappointed in myself with how long it took me to read the last book I read. I couldn't imagine, doing an audiobook of these. And even the first book, it has some like woo-woo scenes, but it's still not too crazy. But even someone reading that, I'm like, no, thank you.
Yeah, reading it to you.
Reading it to
like, it's so funny.
And they are still kind of like silly. I've been enjoying it though. It's well written enough to where it flows really nicely. It's very easy to like digest. And it almost reminds me of like back in the day on some of my social media, I kept getting these like advertisements for random, like, I don't know, those like the writer kind of groups or apps or websites where people are writing like fan fiction or like their own short stories and stuff. And there was some where it was like they were paying for a lot of ads, I guess. It was like a werewolf one where it was like kind of Twilight-ish, but it was definitely in the realm of it's probably going to get super dirty later kind of thing. And I used to read the little samples and stuff because some of them were just so poorly written. Like, you're like, I have to see where this is going to an extent. So certain parts reading in ACOTAR reminds me of that, and not in the writing style, but just the kind of because like she's like, oh, I'm a 19-year-old girl, and this is all I've ever known, and now I'm in this fairy realm, and I don't know, like, it's very Beauty and the Beast for sure, like, and it still has a lot of the fantasy elements. So yeah, this is my first dive into these kind of books in a while. Because like I said, I've read one series when I was like 19, and it was like a witch bounty hunter with vampires. I think you read some of them too. This is me going back, just into that realm of stuff, and it's not bad so far. Yeah, they're fun to read. So, as I've also said last episode, we've been watching a lot of movies lately. So, this time was no different. We knocked out Roadhouse, the new one. Oh, how was it? With Jake Gyllenhaal. Oh, it was fine. I liked it. I would do like 2.5 stars, like middle of the road. Maybe even 3, if it was fun. Conor McGregor, like, kind of lowers it a bit. His acting is not very good, but he tries, and he's not in a lot of it, to be honest.
Who's supposed to be Patrick Swayze? Jake Gyllenhaal?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And, he comes into the Roadhouse, and it's in Key West, and there's the riffraff, and it turns out it's because, some rich people, and they want the land, and yada, yada, so, it was fine. Like, I don't know what to say other than that.
It was fine.
It was fine. It was that kind of movie, Fighting scenes were fun. Jake Gyllenhaal was a badass, like as usual. I like him. I like his movies usually. Nothing against the guy. No complaints. We watched Beetlejuice, finally. Yeah, I didn't like it. No.
It was like made for TV movie style.
Yeah, and it just had so much going on,
and everybody had so much makeup
of like and the one girl was not necessary. The one who wanted to, like, why? I'm like, okay, dude, we get you're fucking this lady. You don't have to put her in your movie. Like, calm down, Tim Burton. Like, that was literally the only reason why she was there that I can think of. Like, because it had nothing to do with the overall plot.
Okay, what was she in there for? Which one are you talking about?
The lady from the dead or whatever who wants to get Beetlejuice.
Oh, right.
And then, like,
right,
she comes to the very end for that stupid shit. Like, none of it felt necessary at all.
Yeah,
like, she was just shoehorned in there. They could have just kept the other plot. Like, Beetlejuice knows Olivia. Like, he would want to help her, trick her to, you know, whatever, regardless of if he had this lady after him. Like, it would have been fine.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like these throwback movies they've been doing lately, they just add this bullshit that's not necessary.
For no reason.
For no reason.
You're wasting time.
And then it kind of waters down the story, and then...
And
like,
the actors.
Yeah, because I feel like Ghostbusters did that as well.
Right.
And I'm like, I just don't give a shit. Like, I'm not going to watch these anymore because I'm going to keep my nostalgia for the originals and just leave it at that. We also watched Unhinged with Russell Crowe, where he's like a road rage guy.
Oh, how was that?
It was funny. The woman actress that he's supposed to be like chasing throughout this and stuff, she is not. It's not good. Like, she is not good. It's written really, like, I didn't enjoy that part, but it's worth a watch for him alone, trudging along, popping his Oxycontins, driving his truck. Like, he's a dude you would see around here.
Yeah.
Like, 100%. Yeah, so it was like, that was a Saturday during the day kind of watch.
Okay.
But as I've mentioned before, that's one of those kind of movies. It's up there with Double Jeopardy.
It's on par with Double Jeopardy.
Yeah. We also finally watched Hidden Figures.
Oh, that was a good one.
It
Yeah,
was
I
good.
saw that one.
Yeah, it was good. And Andrew's been on a Yellowstone binge because he loves Kevin Costner. And so then he was like, let's watch Hidden Figures. Because he's like, Kevin Costner, let's watch more Kevin Costner.
Oh, I forgot Kevin Costner was even in that one.
Yeah. So that was like what led us to get into that again. And I haven't been watching Yellowstone with him. I've only watched like a few episodes. So I loosely kind of know what's going on. This show is crazy. It is one of those like late night dramas. You know, like it's like you're watching Dallas or like,
exactly.
You know,
it's like a soap opera.
Loves those shows too. Like he watched the OC like when he was a teenager and he loved it. Like he watched all of Gossip Girl with me. Like he watched Nashville. Like he liked that one. So and Empire. He watched Empire.
Like, ooh, scandalous, juicy.
He loved that stuff. So yeah, and Yellowstone's like a crazy. It is crazy. Like way more people were dying ever than I anticipated for even that kind of show. So it's been funny watching that randomly with him. We watched Total Recall the other night.
The original?
Yeah, because that's just fun. Oh, is there another one?
I think they did a remake.
I don't know if I'll watch it.
Yeah. It came and went without much fanfare.
And then, as usual, little Frasier before bed.
Hey, baby,
eggs all over my face.
What is a boy to do?
What is a boy to do? That's my Frasier Crane voice. I'm listening.
I'm listening.
So yeah, that's all I've been up to. So like I said, even on our little summer break, I'm sure I'll have a mini-sode or two to be able to pop out. In this episode, we watched 1999's Analyze This. It was directed by Harold Ramis, screenplay by Kenneth Lonergan, Peter Tolan, and Harold Ramis, story by Kenneth Lonergan and Peter Tolan, produced by Paula Weinstein and Jane Rosenthal, starring Robert De Niro, Billy Crystal, Lisa Kudrow, Joe Vitarelli, and Chaz Palminteri. Cinematography was by Stuart Dryburgh. It was edited by Craig P. Herring and Christopher Tillefson. The music was by Howard Shore. It's 103 minutes in its running time. It was released March 5th, 1999. It had a measly $30 million budget, and it made $176.9 million in the box office.
Wow, impressive.
This was a very big release for a comedy.
That's funny. I didn't remember it being that big.
Yeah, apparently it was. So it drew several comparisons by journalists and just watchers in general to the mafia show The Sopranos. Because The Sopranos had just premiered 2 months earlier.
Okay.
Yeah. in January.
Everybody was into mobsters at that time.
And seeing psychiatrists, like, so specifically the same. But when Billy Crystal was asked about this one time, he did say, well, Billy Wilder had a hit on the initial idea of depicting a gangster seeing a therapist all the way back in 1939. He was like, it's a premise that's existed.
It's a common trope.
Yeah, and he also noted that it was referenced even on an episode of The Sopranos. Tony's on-camera crew emphasizes, but that's a comedy. Saying, Analyze This wasn't, I guess, a mob movie or something. Right. I can't remember what they're referencing. So, when this movie came out, its competition in theaters at the time was Cruel Intentions, which also was obviously for a much younger crowd than whoever analyzed this. There's two different demographics right there. But surprisingly, they came out ahead. Crystal was quoted saying the box office was coming in, and it was like, oh my God, we're crushing them. He said it was one of the great nights of my life. To share something that I made with Deniro is who he's referring to, and because this was during their 25-year anniversary. So he said that he said he loved working with him, and he was happy that 25 years later, people are still laughing at the film. So the film, for the opening, it was $18 million, and that did break a record at the time for both of the stars that were in the film. They hadn't had one that broke that in the opening. Gotcha. And then the final global was $177 million. When we're in pre-production, early on, Crystal recalled getting the script, and he also says that he helped punch it up a little bit. He said, we took turns playing De Niro, who was their one and only choice to play the character. Of course. So yes, this role was essentially written for him. So this was right before Meet the Parents De Niro. So people were familiar with some of the comedy he could perform because he did Midnight Run, and then he also did King of Comedy. But those had totally different kind of undertones than a full comedic plot, So when he committed, Billy Crystal was ecstatic, but he was also quoted as saying that he was intimidated. I love that they all call Robert De Niro Bob, because I just feel like he's not a Bob. But they say, Bob has this amazing method, and I don't have one. That's what he quipped.
Sounds like Billy Crystal.
Yes. And apparently there was a little contention when making it. There were times when Billy Crystal thought the film was becoming too gangstery. And there were times when Bob thought that it was too funny. So he was saying we were like pit bulls on Harold's pant leg. But ultimately, Harold Ramis did side with Billy Crystal in the debates. And he's quoted to have said, you have to decide who you're making the movie for. He was like, and I don't want to say lowest common denominator to be rude, but I just want to get the biggest audience you can get because it's a comedy. Mm-hmm. So he even said that he had a lot of people tell him that they loved Analyze This until the Billy Crystal shtick at the end with him pretending to be the mobster.
I thought that was funny.
And but he was told that's when they lost a lot of people. And when I was reading a lot of critic reviews, that is also where a lot of people said that it changed basically their outlook on the film overall, which I felt, well, this is what Harold Ramis said. He was like, but if the audience is divided, I have to cast the winning vote. And for me, it's always going to be comedy first, even at the expense of story or continuity. And I totally respect that because I feel like that's where he went. Yeah, I'm like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, but that's...
it's supposed to be.
The whole movie's ridiculous. The whole premise is.
Yeah, so I thought that was very funny. The majority of this was filmed in New York at some of the respective places even it was kind of supposed to be, and in Miami as well. Like the Mermaid Restaurant, that was really the Mermaid Restaurant that exists down there.
I feel like they did that a lot more back then.
I feel like they did too. They didn't rely... they would... Even for a little low-budget comedy, they shot, certain things on location. Yeah, it's interesting. So I also found, when I was talking about critics, this one, and I don't agree with it. I can see what they're saying. This is one of those times where I'm like, I see what you're saying, but I still don't agree with you. Mm-hmm. I think they're being a little, too hard. So I'm just going to get into it. It's a little longer, but... I was heated for a little bit when I was explaining my stance to Andrew this morning. He had to get an earful. Uh-huh. So the guy writes, In the last few decades, it's become commonplace for film critics and entertainment journalists to wring their hands, wondering what has become of the once mighty Robert De Niro. Why can't he still do good work? Why does he constantly pick such mediocre material? Recent successes like The Irishman and Killers of the Flower Moon have helped bat away that sentiment, but you'll be greeted by the arrival of something so marginal as The War with Grandpa or About My Father. And you're reminded, over and over again, oh, right, there's still that De Niro who signs up for garbage.
Jesus.
Granted, he's made a lot of bad movies this century, but it's something about the bad comedies that's especially galling. They feel like a betrayal of his fans and also a betrayal of his considerable talent. Partly, this is a symptom of our generally dim view of comedy in comparison to drama, with De Niro long representing the pinnacle of dramatic film acting. Maybe if he proved himself to be a remarkable comedian, we'd feel differently, but he hasn't. More accurately, he's a superb actor who sometimes lucks into finding a funny script. Not every brilliant dramatic actor can be a sterling comic star. Daniel Day-Lewis and Denzel Washington have rarely tried to show off their humorous side. But because De Niro keeps slumming in Drek, his limitations are more apparent and more dispiriting. And that was from RogerEbert.com by Tim Grierson, and he's the senior U.S. critic for Screen International.
Well, he sounds like a fucking asshole.
I know, Tim. But also, I'm like, De Niro is quite older even after Analyze This, and you get into Meet the Parents, which really was even the floodgate of like, oh my gosh, this was really funny, and that really kicked off like him doing more comedy. But he's getting older, and also these are their jobs. Like sometimes I feel like these people forget that this is also a job to a lot of these people.
Yeah.
Yes, we're critiquing something, it's an artistic medium, but like sometimes he's gonna do a War with Grandpa movie because he's like, I'm older, I still want to like make some money. I am a grandpa. Maybe I want to make a stupid movie that my grandkids can watch. Like I don't know why people don't think of that when they look at like a full body of work of especially an actor who's been in the industry as long as De Niro. Right. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you can be that actor or actress who only does the best of the best, but then you get further and further out of people's namesakes. You know what I mean? Like, young kids aren't going to know who Robert De Niro is, but if they watch War with Grandpa, maybe they will.
Exactly.
You know, that almost contributes to the longevity of their name.
And their career.
And maybe by the critic standpoint, he's obviously, it's insulting to him as a fan.
Yeah. To slum it with the comedians.
To slum it with these horrible movies. But it's the same thing when people talk shit about Nicolas Cage. Because in my opinion, Nicolas Cage is a great actor. Mm-hmm. And then look at all these other, like, more B movies he did. Well, he had bills to pay, and this is his fucking job. Do you think Nicolas Cage or Robert De Niro is going to go and get, like, a part-time job somewhere? Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're either going to do movies or they've invested in stuff, like, at that point. Right. When you're, like, a career actor like that. Like, I don't know. It's just really, like...
You would not... You couldn't get a real job at that point. Yeah. Because nobody would leave you alone and let you fucking work.
Yeah, like I was saying, like, you have to invest in stuff, right. Or you have to make those kind of movies. You know, sometimes that's what... Or you don't even have to, but it seems like he enjoys it. And also, as you age, you still, like, a lot of these people, they still want to work, and it's what keeps them a little younger. So I have no problem when these more aging actors do more of these kinds of films sometimes. Like, I get it. I don't know. I just don't feel to be so pompous enough to think that their work is an insult to me being a fan of their work.
Or that, or it's like an insult to their own body of work.
Yeah,
to like have that stain.
Well, and also, let's just pretend he stayed doing the more dramatic. How much you want to guarantee then this guy's going to call him a one-trick pony?
Oh, yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Like, oh, he's irrelevant.
Yeah, because they're saying, oh, well, he can't even do comedy very well, so he should stay in his lane? Like, is that what the guy is trying to imply?
And who said he couldn't? Because I thought he did.
Yeah, I'm like, he does fine. Like, I don't know. It just felt one of those, like, I feel like it's when people are insulting Robert Duvall.
Yes.
It's like,
Robert fucking Duvall?
Robert fucking De Niro, you should be so lucky.
Exactly. Go fuck yourself.
Oh. So I got a lot of that from Deadline.com, MovieLocations.com, and as I mentioned, RobertEbert.com. And with that, Jess is going to take it away with the Google Summary.
Google Summary. A mafia don suffers anxiety attacks which force him to visit a psychiatrist. Renowned for his brutality, The mobster is worried about his reputation when he finds himself bursting into tears for no apparent reason, seeking help on the psychiatrist's couch. The forceful and demanding hard man proves a challenge to the doctor, who has several complicated problems of his own.
So when was the last time you watched this one?
God, it's probably been at least 15 years ago.
I would say probably the same for me at minimum. Yeah, but it could be even a little longer.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I still had like what I thought was vivid memories of it.
I thought I did have like maybe not vivid but fond. Like
I should say that.
Yeah, I remember enjoying it, and
Yeah.
I remember always thinking it was funny. I owned it like when around the time it came out, so it was something that I did watch at home often enough. You know, it wasn't like on a rotation, but it was one of the funnier. I love Billy Crystal movies.
I do too.
Yeah, I always
was a big
have.
Billy Crystal fan.
Yeah.
City Slickers.
Oh, and just to point it out, when I was talking about the facts, there were a lot of in that article too. That same guy, and then they're all kind of like against Billy Crystal as well. Like they don't like his shtick, which I get if you don't like certain people's shticks. I get it, but I was just like, I love him.
He's like comedy.
I just
royalty.
felt like they were a little rough.
Like, who is good enough for you? Is it would any comedian be good enough? Or are they just against the whole art of comedy?
So funny. So yeah, I remember this being one that I liked. Like back then, I probably would have gave it like a 3 or 3.5 star comedy film. After watching it today, I would say that it's still more maybe 2.5, 3.
Yeah,
because
I would say 2.5 for me.
I have to agree with Billy Crystal almost. I felt like there still should have been a little more comedy.
Yeah.
It almost was a little too mobster.
And I didn't remember it being that way.
Yeah. I remember
was like,
more comedy.
Was it rated R?
It had to have been with as much F-bombs as they
I don't remember that at all.
I know, it's so funny because I was like, I'm pretty sure I was middle school watching it.
Exactly. Like, I know I was a lot younger watching it. And I was like, I remember it being so funny. Don't remember any of the sex part.
Yeah.
Or like him talking about like not getting it up. I was like, I don't remember any of that.
No, and I will say though, there was comedy throughout it, and the times it was more subtle, which I do like the scene they're at someone's funeral.
It was so funny. He's like, I don't even know him.
No, yeah. Well, before that, even though when they're talking about his dream or whatever, and they're just standing, sitting.
Yeah.
Because they're in a Catholic.
Yeah.
Like, that was funny to me.
Yeah.
Like, it's those little things that are implemented throughout. Like, and then it gets so
my
hard.
favorite when that guy was like hugging him, kissing him, kissing him. And he's like, him, I don't know.
Held him in an embrace. Him, I don't know. So yeah,
that was funny.
It had really. I wish it would have just had a little. And
there
bit
was
more.
some parts like I was laughing out loud last night watching it.
Oh yeah, I still giggled throughout all of it. Yeah, my memories were a little different, and it still though felt like a classic movie like formula.
Yeah.
You have your setup, you get into it. Because that was another complaint I saw where some people said that there wasn't enough of like a plot. But I'm like, it's gearing up. The whole plot is gearing up to the meeting. Like that's the deadline. Yeah. Like there is this overarching goal,
Right.
and I don't know. I guess maybe some people also felt maybe it wasn't climactic enough. But I'm like, there's a whole shootout. Like it was way more action oriented than I also remember.
Right. Same.
So yeah. So that's with that.
Because I remember him having like loudmouth wife or something. I thought that's why he was going to a psychiatrist to like appease his wife. Unless maybe that's the second one. Maybe he's getting married.
No, they show his wife in the first one at the end of the movie.
Yeah, not anything like I remember it being. So I'm like, am I confusing that with a whole different movie?
Or are you thinking of Sopranos? Because Tony Soprano's wife is a loud lady.
I don't know.
But
I don't think so.
Yeah, he doesn't go at her behest either, though. Anyway. as I said, it's a classic, like, setup and formula, which I feel like most comedies of some of that era really stuck to, but I don't have a problem with it because it works, you know, and it makes the pacing work. You have your setup. He is a psychiatrist talking to, like, who was it? Was it Molly Shannon? I think that was like the first patient that Billy Crystal is supposed to be talking to.
Yes.
Yeah. So she's always funny. They give you a tidbit of his life, and she's just, you know, some distraught housewife, you know, is what they make a joke about later. Like, that's all his patients are. Then you get a little bit of De Niro side as well with what his life is, and like him beating that guy with like a crowbar he's going to and getting information. And it's like he doesn't even have it in him.
Right.
So you know something's wrong. And then just luck has it that Billy Crystal accidentally rear ends the mobster guys, Jelly. And what is the other one? Because it's two guys that are like the main henchmen.
I don't remember the other one.
And I don't remember the other guy either. And then you see like the trunk open and there's like a guy like trying to get him. But Billy Crystal doesn't see all this, and then he gives him his information, his card. Lo and behold, oh, he's a psychiatrist. And the
That's
boss
exactly
is feeling
what he
weird.
needs.
Yeah.
And I don't remember it being that he had panic attacks is why he saw Billy Crystal in the first place.
Oh, yeah. No, I did remember that because I remember I did watch this movie, too, in high school quite often. And that was when I started getting my panic attacks.
I relate.
And I was like, I always felt like, I'm like, yeah, that's kind of how they are. He did an okay job at, like, recreating them. But then not breathing, and then you're like, oh, like, I feel weird. So, like, good job, De Niro.
Acting.
Thank y'all. And it also goes, for some reason, I was thinking the Miami scenes were much later in the film. I think I got things kind of flip-flopped as well. It's one of those situations. Because it sets him up with where he does end up seeing Robert De Niro, and he's having these brushes with these mob guys. They, like, come into his house to wake him up in the middle of the night. Like, they're already crossing boundaries left and right. And that's this movie in a nutshell.
Well, it's the mob. What are you going to do? You don't tell them no.
Yeah, so it's you're propositioned by a mob person that you obviously are not allowed to say no to. And hijinks ensue from there.
Yeah. And they become besties.
Yeah. I feel like in the second one, that's the one where they hone that in with, like, their relationship. Because in this one, he's quite terrified of him to begin with. And he is even honest with him because he's like, I can't take you as a patient. Like, I'm not that good. But he's like, you. And this is where we get the good. You're good.
I wrote it down.
The finger wagging.
He's said, yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Even that one had Andrew laughing today, too.
Yeah, that part I thought was really funny.
And he lets him know that he's like, well, I'm going on vacation anyway. Like, I'm getting married. Like, nah, you don't have time to see me. Nope, that doesn't work because he follows him to Miami where he is marrying Lisa Kudrow.
And what I didn't like was why was her character so insecure and thinking that Billy Crystal was going to leave her? Because he's such a good catch?
I feel like that was just supposed to be like a whatever thing because he left in the middle of the night.
No, she was like that even when they were, like, when he first met her and she was, like, wrapping up her news report. And she's like, are you sure? You sure you want to marry me? You really want to marry me?
Oh, I guess I didn't notice that.
And I was like, why is she being like that? She's like a news anchor woman.
Oh, no, I didn't catch that at all, I guess.
Yeah, I don't like it.
I was pausing a little bit throughout when I was watching at different times, like having to get up and do stuff. Because our AC broke this week. That's been fun.
In Florida.
Yeah. Beginning of summer. Like, this has been the hottest weekend so far, and that's when our AC is like, nope.
I said, at least it wasn't in August.
That's very true. So, yeah, no, I didn't notice that about her character. Because it made me remember where I was like, I miss Lisa Kudrow doing these little side comedic roles. I always thought she did pretty well. Like, I remember that one that she did with, like, John Travolta with The Lottery.
Oh, my God, I forgot about that.
Yeah, do you remember that one? Like, I always thought she was kind of fun and the more, like, crime caper, maybe, kinds of stuff. Like, I remember her doing that, and I always enjoyed her in those. And so when he's in Miami is when the scene that you're talking about where he's like, he can't get it up or whatever. The face that he makes when she's like on top of him and just like moving and he's like, just the face he makes alone. It's pure comedy right there.
No, I don't remember that.
Oh, it was pretty funny. If you like go back and like just so like his face, she's like, and he's like, like his weird Robert De Niro frown, but it's just like bouncing. It was so funny.
Now I'm thinking of my wife.
Yeah, that was exactly that. Like right beforehand. So there are a lot of funny parts in this. I still think like this is what I feel like because Mafia was such a spoof. And I feel like this is literally that same movie.
Right.
Just on like a higher class.
Yes. It's like the more sophisticated.
Because they still also do a Godfather scene, of course, but they do the oranges. For the dream. The dream sequence. So they have a lot of funny parts in it. And Billy Crystal, I love it when he plays a character where he's such a smart ass kind of dick. Mm-hmm. Like in certain things
he says.
He does it so well.
Sarcasm.
And it just lands.
Yeah.
Like his timing and how he delivers it. I'm just gushing. I'm just fangirling over here.
He's always one of those that like, as soon as he's always on. Like,
yeah.
He's always got it.
I feel like he's like a entertainer. Like I feel like he's going to be like Martin Short.
Yes.
Like, I feel like they are two good comedians where they are like, I am a performer, and I'm going to give you a performance.
Yeah, and I love that.
And I like that. Exactly. I do too.
Always on.
I do love, though, there was one line that I love that, I believe De Niro says this one, though, when, because there's been multiple times now where, of course, he's like, I need your help, doctor, but then, of course, he's a mobster, and he's being a dick or not taking the help correctly. And Billy Crystal's character does kind of he gives fucks, but he is straight up with him.
Yeah.
And that is what the character says. He's like, nobody talks to me this way.
Right.
Like, so that's going to help him work through his issues. But when he's getting mad at him and like lashing out, he's like, you couldn't treat a 2-cell amoeba, you fucking phony. Just that joke itself, I'm like, why would De Niro, why would he even 2-cell amoeba?
Because he's trying to show that he's not an idiot.
Yeah. And there's another scene when they're still in Miami, and they've already kind of, have they ruined their wedding at that point? No, they haven't ruined their wedding at that point, but it's right before, and they're at SeaWorld with Lisa Kudrow and his son. And they even show up and drag him from the SeaWorld show. But when he's talking to his son, and then they're like, oh, you having a good time? And he's like, I'm pretending to have a good time. Yeah. And then Billy Crystal says, well, you're pretending to have a good time, and I don't want to spoil that. It's lines like that I know they're not like, oh, that's the best thing ever. I just think.
You're like, that's still my favorite.
Yeah.
Those little
quips.
Sprinkled in.
I enjoy it. Oh, and I really liked De Niro's outfit that he wears when they're walking along the shore of the beach. And he has these really cool sunglasses. And they're like holding the umbrellas.
Yeah,
and it's when the feds at this point have caught wind of like this new guy around De Niro, so they're taking pictures of him talking to Billy Crystal's character and all of that. But his outfit looks so cool to me. I
don't remember it.
It was very gangster still, but it was like the cool whites and it was like a cool gray, that kind of like Italian looking gangster guy shirt. But the sunglasses with it on the beach, and his pants are like, they always have the slightly baggier pants, I feel like.
His body looks really good in this movie.
Right?
Like he wore those clothes.
He did.
Very well.
He wore them. They didn't wear him. He wore.
I was like, that is his style.
It is.
He should wear that all the time.
It suits him. Like he looks very nice.
He had,
I have to say, I thought he was pretty handsome in this movie too.
I agree.
Actually,
yeah. And I was like, I remember him being so old in this movie. When I was younger.
Exactly. And then I was back and I was like, he's not.
Older,
I was like, he was aging, sure, but like he wasn't old.
He was probably my age.
Like, oh, it's so funny.
I was like, oh, so handsome.
But he, of course, ruins Billy Crystal and Lisa Kudrow's wedding by yeeting a guy off of a balcony
because he couldn't shoot him.
Yeah, like
I'm pretty sure Jelly did that though.
I think, either way, the guy was attacking them though. They had to take care of it. Flew him out a window on top of like their literal wedding like reception area. So it just builds up from there. It's the comic hijinks ensue. This one is a hard one to kind of overall review, I feel like, because it is a comedy.
And it's fast paced and like a bunch of shit happens in it.
Exactly. It's one of those that we've done these kinds of movies before, and I usually in these episodes we're like, oh, it's good. Like, it's decent. You got to kind of watch it. you want to enjoy some more of the like visual kind of humor, you know, the things that are just like going on in backgrounds or this or that, just funny stuff. Like it's in there.
It's in there.
It's in there. So they've gone back to NYC. There's going to be a big meeting, basically, and they also that was kind of how they introed the movie. We left that out. Is De Niro explaining about this big meeting that all the mob bosses had done in upstate New York at a time that went poorly, but his dad was able to like get away with someone else. Yada
On a tractor.
But then there's been a beef. So that is the thing that they don't explain more of, that they probably could have elaborated maybe to make it feel, I don't know, to make you feel Robert De Niro's like panic. Because that is the thing. He's supposed to be pretty scared, you know, like he knows something big is happening.
Well, it's because his best friend was killed in front of him.
Yeah.
So now the meeting's all on him, going without his number one.
Yeah.
And like you said, Jelly's a moron.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm talking about the gangster that had the problem with him, though.
Okay.
They needed that to be, I feel like, a little, like they did
More
that, and then they show him with the one hit attempt. They do have him throughout, but I guess overall it just didn't feel like he was a big threat. He was doing these things, but it just, I guess it felt par for the course because he's a mob guy. You're like, isn't this part of your daily routine?
Yeah, why is this different?
Yeah, like
is there always somebody trying to take you out?
Well, like you said, it's because of his panic and him, you know, coming to terms with. You later find out is he has daddy issues. Right. And his dad was, in fact, murdered in front of him. Also. And there is another moment where he's basically, at this point, the word is out that he is a psychiatrist to some of the people within his own, like, family. Mm-hmm. And they're like, you got to take care of this if anyone outside of us hears it. So they're basically saying that you need to kill the therapist. He refuses. He still does like Billy Crystal's character. The feds, though... that's another underlying, you know, plot thing that you have kind of going on, of course, is that they're always watching. And then they use this audio to trick Billy Crystal.
Manipulate it,
into thinking, oh, he's going to kill him. So they have this part comes to a head, basically, in a scene where they're getting shot at when he was about to kill Billy Crystal. But Billy Crystal's telling him, well, you are going to kill me. And then they, but there's, like I said, guns blazing. But Robert De Niro, where he's just crying, he's bawling like a baby. And I love that Billy Crystal's like, channel all this nice grief into a murderous rage. And then he's like going, bang, 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 bang. Like
he's just picking his hand up, bang, 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 bang,
bang, bang, shoot the guys.
And he's like, oh, give me the fucking gun.
He doesn't shoot anything, but...
Because he was like, did I do that?
He's like, no.
You got the...
It's like a fridge and a Ford. And this is where the part that we talked about in the beginning where some people said this is where they got off board. And it was because now the big meeting has arrived and Robert De Niro is just a blubbering idiot. And they're basically, like Jelly says, like, we're all a bunch of morons. We have to have someone go. You're going to be the consigliere is how we're going to run this. And they put him in a little, like, expensive suit that he says he can see his reflection in.
Gotta have that shine.
And they're just going to, and yes, this part is even, most of this movie is unbelievable, but this part for sure is the most unbelievable. Right. They wouldn't let this guy just waltz in there necessarily or whatever, like, duh. But this is where it gets absurd, like, even more absurd. And it's, to me, though, one of the,
I thought it was funny. Yeah.
Like, because he goes from, like, a terrible De Niro impression to where then he's just Billy Crystal, too. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's, like, slightly unhinged, but, like, I enjoyed it. And he's just going, smacking Jelly, being assertive, doing all this stuff.
And then just being very vague and rambling.
Yeah. And it builds to a head. And then De Niro does show up, though, and he does get his shit together. And
it's because of his looking at his boy.
Yeah, his boy. Like, that was a little, like...
Cheese,
yeah. Like, they had that kind of ending. But, yeah, he shows up, and he basically is just like, I'm going to retire. And they're like...
I'm out. I'm outie.
And he says he's taking safety precautions, yada, yada. And then he has all his boys waiting outside. So that way they can't hurt him or Billy Crystal.
Machine Gun.
Yep.
Kelly.
Machine Gun Kelly. Machine Gun Kelly is there. He was
Machine
in
Gun
utero.
He was a twinkle in his daddy's eye.
No, maybe he was a baby. I don't know how old that guy is. But yeah, and it pretty much ends on a note where, and then the police still show up though, correct? Because how does he ended up in jail?
Yeah, the police, all the feds come.
Yeah, the feds still come as well because
Yeah.
they've been trying to figure this out.
He got 18 months.
And he gets 18 months.
And I was
and
like,
he's
his ass
supposed to
would have
be-
been shanked in prison.
Yeah, or something. I don't know. They do tie it up with a little
Of
bow,
course.
but it's a comedy.
Yeah.
To quote The Sopranos.
I like how I tied that in nicely.
Thanks.
Circle it around.
So overall, I still enjoyed it. I will probably watch Analyze That sometime soon.
Oh yeah, I have to watch it now. I'm gonna finish it up.
When I was looking at, I did find a lot. Now, when Analyze That came out, there was a lot more media hype around it because Analyze That, it was a
Did
sequel.
well, yeah.
So when I was actually doing some research, I was finding more stuff about Analyze That, and so I was seeing like people thought it was the lesser of the two.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah,
I'll be
it's
the
cool.
yeah.
I'll be the judge of
I'll
that.
be the judge of that.
You're gonna tell me shit.
Yeah. Well, that was Analyze This. And as always, you can find us on the social medias at Film Gazers. You can try to find us on Discord if you're interested, the Film Gazers podcast community.
Haven't been on in a while.
Nope, we're terrible people. We're like, hey, we can commit to this one part of the hobby, but nothing else.
I'm surprised we can commit to this part.
I know. I'm impressed. We've been doing it for this
You know
long.
why? I really enjoy the editing part. I like content for me to edit.
Yes. So if we have a special episode for June, we will make those announcements on our social media. So do follow us on Instagram for sure.
At least.
Because we will let everyone know if we do something special for June in between the break.
Yes.
And we'll also probably do the announcements for what we're actually doing in July when we figure all that out.
Price for us also.
Exactly. Winging it. So we hope you all have a really good start to your summer.
Enjoy.
We'll be back in July. And like I said, we may grace you with some special episodes in June. We'll let you know. Time to hit the dusty trail.
Until next time.
Later, taters.
Hey,
Hey.
get the fuck out of here.
Forget about it.